Money cliches are a dime a dozen. However, some of those financial catchphrases can truly be applied to your real life and pay off in the long run. One such saying is especially true for business owners. The saying that cash is king, well, legitimately it represents the importance of liquidity for any business of any size. Cash is needed for everything involved to successfully run a business. Here to talk more about that is Bob Sander, the Commercial Loan Officer for First Bank. Bob, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Is there a way for a business to predict the amount of cash it's going to have?
There is, Dan. So one of the important things for businesses really is to look at where their historic cash flows have been, and then look at any changes they see coming to it. Maybe it's new business they've picked up or changes in employment, whatever, and then use that to predict what their future cash flow should be.
Right. Now, for most businesses, I would guess that expenses may be more predictable than the cash or than revenue. How do you determine a balance?
That's a great question. So there's really, for most businesses, right, they should have a decent feeling of where those revenues are going to go. The expenses usually are relatively fixed. It's more dealing with the revenues that they get, and then they need to make sure that they can balance that out to take care of seasonal peaks and troughs.
Yeah, and that's where First Bank can come in, I guess, in the loan department.
Very much so. Yeah, I mean, there are many resources that we do use. We'll look at business needs, and we'll really sit down with those family-owned business owners to try to hit on key things like where their cash is, where their cash reserves need to be, and then also we'll look at if they need to bridge that maybe with a line of credit or a term loan.
Sure. Well, let me ask you a couple of what-if questions here, and they're kind of similar. What if you don't end up with the cash you predicted, and what if you end up with more than the cash you predicted? Should you hold on to that cash?
Right. Great question. So really, for most businesses, right, if you end up with too little cash, it can cause strain on the business, right? Sometimes excess cash, though, can add a little extra risk to the business because those business owners may get overconfident with that. That's why it's really important to have a good banking partner to sit down with someone who knows how to help those family-owned businesses really manage those cash flows effectively.
Yeah, so maybe you shouldn't necessarily hold on to that cash.
If
there's extra cash.
Right, there are good times to spend that. So I have a customer who recently was looking at where their balances were and said, you know what, we have 4 or 5 locations, maybe a good time to build a new location. So we went through, did the analysis, helped them figure out that it really was. And so now they'll be opening here in the next few months.
Yeah, that's all about protecting the future. And you can do that with First Bank. Check out Bob Sander, the Commercial Loan Officer. And how can they contact you, Bob?
They can contact us at firstbanks.com, or they can go to our Facebook site, and they can also go to our LinkedIn site.
All right, great. Thanks so much for being with us.